Welcome everyone in our Inside T24 Performance Engineering monthly session. Today with me, I have special guest. So today we'll be talking about performance testing on the 10 T24 Transact. So we'll be going through the all methodology. We'll show you some live test or the test what we executed before. So okay. That's all. You know me already because you are seeing me every month. So maybe Ricardo, you can introduce yourself and maybe Rakesh as well.
Okay, sure. Um, Thanks for joining, everyone. My name is Ricardo. I am a T24 senior consultant, technical and developer on that Transact. Um, this time, basically, we show a little. We are talking a little about the Performator. It's a powerful tool, powerful framework for working with performance testing. Right? So this is a little introduction for me. I have 8 years working with the Menos Transact. And my last year, basically, I dedicate to the engineer of and this world of performance testing. Right?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ricardo. Ricardo is representing our South America region. So glad to have you with us, Ricardo. Rakesh, everyone should know who you are, but maybe you say a couple of words about you.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Rakeshan. Uh, I'm based out in India, and yeah, this is. I think we have done more webinars and tech talk and all of those. So yeah, I'm a T24 technical consultant and working with Performatrix for a very long time. And in this session, yeah, we will be showing you the live demo of how you can do the performance testing with our in-house tool Performator. So that's an open source tool which any one of you can use for your own banking platform T24, and you can test it out on your own. So yeah, over to Andrew and Ricardo. So yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much, Rakesh. I won't be a rude person, so my name is Andrew, and I'm performance engineer located in Canada. And yeah, I'm here to show you some stuff regarding the Performator and how we are using this open source performance testing tool on the T24. So yes, I will start with a couple of slides, but that won't be a lot of them because I don't want to bore you. And after that, we'll show you some exciting stuff regarding how we test T24. So, okay, I'll start sharing my screen and maybe we can do like that. Okay. So yes, I prepare a couple of slides regarding our recent project when we test T24 platform when the client was migrating his database layer. So maybe some I will give you some walkthrough how this project look like. So when we test T24 core, we run a couple of cycles because after each cycle, it depend how well the test will go and how satisfactory results will collect. That will depend, of the, how fast we can close the project, or for example, what is the next step in the cycle. So here we had for this is the example of the one cycle when we run three different kind of performance test. That was regular test, that was peak test, and stress test. I will tell you a little bit more about these tests in the next slide. So when these tests were completed and we apply tuning, and after testing T24 Transact core, we also test the channels like ATMs and point of sales, and we did also the tuning of these channels. And after that, we ran another cycle, and I think we ran 3 or 4 cycles. And after that, our exercise was completed. Okay, so yes, what are the steps in our work when we want to test, load test, performance test, any kind of application? So we will start from requirement gathering. So this is crucial aspect, and this is crucial point for every kind of the project, because we need to know what we are gonna to test and what will be the volume that we should test. So we are collecting the requirement. We have our templates because we need to estimate what transactions will be the most crucial, most important for customers, because we know uh, from our life that probably 95% of the load will include 5 the most important transactions from the client. So the client very often have multiple transactions and test cases he would like to test, but we want to focus about this one, which are the most important. And yes, customer is answering kind of discovery questions when we are learning more about his setup and his goals, what he's planning to achieve. This is the most important. And from a requirement template and from answering these discovery questions, we are creating the performance test approach from the requirements. So that's the next step. This is typical, maybe not typical. This is the implementation what we did on this particular customer on the T24. So as you can see, we have 3 load injectors. From the first one, which is channel, we are injecting load on the ATM and post layer and Oracle service bus. On the second one, we are injecting the load through T24 browser, also through T24 app. So after that, the all load is going to the T24 DB and is consumed by core banking. And I told you before about 3 load tests that we are running, that we were running on this particular client. So first is regular, when we want to mimic the the performance on the normal days on the bank. So the amount of the transactions, the amount of the concurrent users will be very similar to his normal day operation. So you can imagine how crucial it is to know and to establish how the normal day on this particular bank is looking like. After the regular test, when the results are good and the all SLOs are passed, we can switch to the peak load test, which is performance on the peak days. So let's say end of the month or before any kind of holidays, when the bank will experience more traffic than it usually does. And the same applied to the peak. So when the peak results are good and the test is passed, we can go through the breaking point test, which is a stress test. So we are trying to estimate how much of the concurrency and how many transactions the system can hold and still be operatable. So that is also a very important point. So yes, as Rakesh mentioned before, we are using a Performator, which is our um, open source performance testing tool. So yeah, which is giving us a lot of flexibility. Is written in a Java language. So basically, you are the master of how the test should look like. You can design everything from scratch. You can also use from some pre-builds, or for example, any of the AI agents can help you with writing the scripts as well. But we discovered that if more freedom you will have with with more freedom from the code that you are writing, the test, that the better will be. And as you can see here, we are simulated the load on the T24 core banking. We also relied on the app monitoring on the system, and but also giving us the results back. We use Dynatrace to gather, all of the metrics from the test, and whatever, the high load of whatever we are testing the system, what will be, will be the outcome from the backend, and how the backend will respond. So from these two, so from our simulated, we are collecting some reports through the engineering monitoring platform, which is also ours, Performetrics. And over there, basically, we are gathering the results. We are gathering the results also from Dynatrace, and having these two very important, crucial things, we can validate the requirements. If the all of the output of the test are good for the customer, he's saying, okay, we are ready to go to the production. That's the case. Okay, what we have here next? We have here a couple of reporting and tuning we did. So you have the comparison between the regular test and the peak and the stress test. So basically, you can see the response times, how the distribution of them doing all the particular tests, and what is the requirements from the client. So of course, the response times, when we are talking about the stress test, there will be, the different will be quite significant. But this is what is expected, because from the stress, we want to be sure that the environment can hold the number of the transactions of the what is the breaking point on it. And yes, the system behave good through the regular and the peak load stress. On the stress test, the stress test was proceed, but the system was very slow, but it didn't break. So the customer then can figured out different ways how he can design the system, or how he can prevent that the system would break when the load will be very hard. And the results from the performance test, we ran 16 tests on the 5 applications. We identify 9 bottlenecks, and we solve them as well. And we simulate, this is very crucial, 95% of the production transactions volume was covered. So basically, we are covering almost every production transaction, which is very important, because you cannot test only part of it, let's say 30-40%, because then you have the risk that the problem will appear if something you didn't test. So yes, we simulated of T24 customer accounts and the tele transaction, also ATM and POS, which are the channels, the payments request. So that was the outcome of it. That was very successful a project. And yes, that's, I think that's all presentation from me, so I can stop sharing my screen. And maybe I was sorry, because I was taking a little bit more time than expected, but maybe right now, Ricardo, you can share your screen and we can run some tests.
Mhm. Yes, sure. Let me share my screen. Working, is sharing.
We are seeing the Zoom. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Okay, we are seeing
Make
the Performator.
screen. Okay, sure. Maybe just a little explanation about the structure of Performator. Just what was mentioned by you, Andrew, basically, most of the common testing processing is about the regular load, basically a batch, and the stress and the peak. There are the type of load injection. Normally, we work in the performance testing.
Mm-hmm.
The structure, Performator is very similar to other tools for execute performance testing. Maybe we have here the use case. The use case, basically,
Hmm.
for example, this use we have a some script for inject blood through the browser. I mean the native
Hmm.
browser for execute for or make operation outside of the tele, outside of the your the people is they with the minus transaction make the operation
Hmm.
behind of desktop a desktop is this kind of simulation. Browser AC is, for example, the execution. In this case, is execution of transaction for uh, between two accounts of the same client. This is the kind of the
Hmm.
simulation. The structure of the script, maybe you see a lot of code for a developer is, I mean, it's easy to digest this kind of operation. But in general term, basically, you need to specify um, the services you are consuming,
Hmm.
right? So you basically you can say with Performator, okay, I will start here my metric.
Hmm.
After that, you can make whatever you want, the structure you want
Exactly.
for consume the services. For
Yeah.
example, we here login processing.
Hmm.
After that, we have some get other information, the menu, the banner, um, the main processes is the FT. FT in transact is basically the way one of the a lot of way you can execute a transaction.
Hmm.
So the simulation that in this request, I mean, this is the main request, and after that you can make that close. You may you with this you make a performance. Okay, we have a group of
Hmm.
services, and I need to a metric of this, right?
Yeah. So basically, uh, we are hitting the backend with the same stuff what the user will do using the browser, for example, because AC is the
Mhm.
whatever is going on the browser. So here, this code should mimic it, like the on the 100%. So we want to be sure that we are executing it one to one. So it will be exactly the same but from the backend layer.
Yes, exactly. Basically, we are simulate here the each of the steps um, one of the execution for
Hmm.
this kind. In this case, the AC funds transfer operation. We have here another use case, for example, the inquiry for simulate some consulting or report operation, like the account statement is one of the most important report of the bank. ICE operation basically is for using the TCP
Hmm.
for simulate the ATM and POS operation, very important for the most of the bank. Yeah, basically the this is part of the use case. You specify what exactly you need to execute.
Yeah.
Normally it's a service. Maybe you have some weird case about, for example, the ATM post is a TCP process, but is you need to program a leak, but normally you consume
Hmm.
this type of operation, right?
Makes sense. So basically, in Performator, you can write and test anything you would like on the T24
You can
layer.
write.
And
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
a lot of flexibility. This is a freedom when you are doing T24 testing.
Yes, okay. If it's a services and you have access to this to it, you can get the metric with Performator.
Awesome. So yes, maybe we can run some small test. We can show to people how the
Mhm.
execution is looking like, how the reporting is looking like. So yeah, if you're plugged into the environment, maybe we can, run some smoke and see the results.
Okay, I will execute this time this above average.
Okay.
Uh, we simulate here funds transfer operation.
Hmm.
inquiry operation for generic report, the ATM and post, some script for browser, you know.
Okay, okay.
Okay. Mhm.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, we will execute for 5 minutes. Maybe talking a little about these parameters. This is very similar to other in other tools of performance testing. We need to specify the number of the user for each of your script. The simulate for hours you want to the number of what you simulate to for hour use operation.
Hmm.
A little office and repump. I mean, the number of user you want to increment in escalate mode with all of the time of the execution. Right. Yes. Okay. Let me execute this brush. I think I
Sure.
have this, right? Okay.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Okay, so yes, good. So at the bottom, you can see the start of the execution of the test. This is the console. What is showing us whatever the Performator is doing recently. As you can see here, this is the big differentiator between something like automation test or different kind, because here, as you can see, you are seeing no user interface. You don't see whatever is going on, and the reason for that is that we are hitting the backend. So we are not going through the front end. We are hitting the backend, and we are collecting the results from the backend. So you have a couple of different ways. For example, if in the Performator, for example, you can have more details in the console. For example, when you are working on the script of the writing the scripts and you want to analyze whatever for example, sessions or whatever details you are catching from the backend are correct. So then you can execute small tests in the debug mode and collect much more stuff. Here we know that this stuff is working, that we are connected to the client environment, and simply we will see after 5 minutes how this client application is T24 application is responding.
Yes, and for this environment in particular, basically, we need to run some tests, performance testing because there is a recent upgrade to a new version of T24 Transact.
Yeah. That's correct, because you have plenty of different versions of the T24 regarding of the bank you are working with. So every example of the performance test on the T24 layer will look quite different from each other. So there's a lot of customization. That's why ability to write the performance test as a code in Performator is giving you a lot of freedom.
Mhm.
Okay, we
Yes.
have a few questions. I think I have one question. Can we configure this performance test for particular application and that application's versions? Because we have used case where application takes less time and the versions are taking more time, just to get to know the difference time between the application and version.
Yes, that's
So,
very often that's the case of the test. For example, the customer is migrating, let's say, the database from one version to another. So he want to do the benchmark of the previous version, and he want to compare it to the next version of the database. So there is there's the things that we should do. At the same example will go when, for example, customer is migrating from one version of the T24 to the other version. So it will be exactly the same. So the benchmark or knowing the results from the previous one, from the previous version are very critical, because the banks, for example, are using the one version of the T24 for years. So this kind of version is already, they already adjusted and tuned it to have the meaningful and good results. So they don't want to go backwards and they don't want to degrade, they want to improve. So if they want to improve, we need to know what is what is the break, and what is the baseline, basically, what they want to improve.
And next question is, can we simulate 3000 inquiries per minute? It's more like a load testing. Can we do that with Performator?
Ricardo?
Mhm. Yes, of course. You can calculate whatever amount of transactions you need. And you even can apply some metrics requirement. I mean, you can specify, for example, okay, I can, for me, validate report execution should be the duration of the waiting should be 60 seconds, for example, and I can support 5% of the failure. So you can set up this metric Performator, execute the amount of you mentioned,
Hmm.
get exactly the result of of this simulation, right? So you can personalize specific values of
Hmm.
for get validate your test, right?
And next
Thank you. Yeah.
question
Okay.
is quite similar. Can we use Performator for API and functional testing? I think yes, we can configure and use it.
Yes, this is a performance testing tool, open source. So whatever is about the, performance testing, you are using Performator to check the, response times of the application. Another we have from Sofian, I guess. This I like this question. Can you please tell me how did you connect idea with client environment? This is, you have couple of layers. Because you can simply connect, you can write the script, what will give you, the endpoints of the customer environment, but you need to be sure that you can reach your customer environment from your machine. As you know, all of the customers have a lot of, security in place. So most of the time we'll connect through the VPN, which is given from the client. And after that, our machines and the place from where we are running the scripts very often are in the are on the client side. So from there, we'll be running the test, because let's say that the client will dedicate one of the machines to us. And then, we know that no firewall will be in between. So after that, we can point to the APIs that customer provide to us, and we can run the test. Okay, that's good.
Okay, okay, it's still processing. Of course, maybe you cannot be afraid about there is a lot of code here. I know for developer is the most common thing at the day of day. But see, you have not too much experience on development sites. You can get some support of the AI. I mean, you can take some explain to instruction or
Yeah.
explanation from Performator. We have some documentation in a couple of readme. You can take this, paste to the AI, and say, okay, basis in this process, in this information, please generate some script with this condition
Yeah.
connected to this server in this way. So easily the AI can provide to you this script.
Hmm.
So
Exactly. You
you
can,
don't need too much for learn and work with Performator. It's very intuitive. Even if you are not a developer.
Yeah, so AI agents also can help you write the scripts. After some time, when using Performator, you will be more familiar how the code and how the scripts are, what you will get the flow, so you can write it down by your own. But when you are beginning, you can start from some simple simulations, and you can have a guide from Performator page, or from the Performator on Git, when you can download the quick start project when you have a lot of explanation how to use particular functionalities of the Performator. And yes, to answer, I don't know if I answered this question. We use Performator also for the API? For the API, for sure. Most of the tests and that will be testing, they will be going through the API layer. So even the browser, whatever the client is doing on the browser, we are doing through the API layer, because that is like that is, we are stripping the user interface, and we are hitting the backend system.
Mhm. Yes, exactly. I think the most important of Performator is the flexibility they have to simulate make the lower charts. I mean, for example, in this case, we are simulate three kind of operation, three kind of channels. This is the browser operation, the ATM and post operation, and um, the online banking operation, right? Through the services as both. In this case, for OSB, of course, it depend of the structure of the architecture of each bank. But basically, you can simulate any channel you want at any layer you have. That's cool. Maybe you go back, you don't interested in simulate in the most superficial layer. For example, you load balance, you can go for a little down layer. Maybe
Mhm.
when you have your API and inject it directly the operation in this layer. So Performator can adapt any channel and any capability, any layer you need to simulate, you need to testing your operation.
Yeah. That's great. And this is something what Rakesh mentioned before, that on the on the T24 you can have so many versions, and how so many different setup when we are talking about the applications and all of that stuff. So it will be impossible to create it one framework for the T24 testing, because we are trying to figure it out together with you what will be the best approach for your system to be tested out, because you can have no browser web, you can have you can be using something completely different, and we'll figure it out and we'll test it out, because a lot of applications can be part of the T24. Okay, so how we are doing with the tests? I think we are still good.
I think we have grateful time. Maybe this is the reason why this is taking a little more of 5 minutes.
Sure. And
But
yet, maybe because Ricardo, because we are a little bit out of time, because we scheduled it for half an hour, we can terminate it, because I think the report will be still created. So after that, we can, go through the reporting of the test to show people how is that looking like. What do you
Mhm.
think?
Yeah, sure. I can stop now. I mean, this is not the crashing anything.
Yeah.
This is normally stopping.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's check out the most important thing, the result in a report. Okay. We have a resume of the execution. For example, we have basically at the level of the metric, we are exactly more or less um,
Mhm.
in the success result, right? We have some information here about the system, about the hardware, how is the behavior along the time in my simulation was executed. We have some peak here about the network, about the network is the most affected with peak behavior.
Mhm.
There is some peak here for this. Yeah, basically, if you are interested in hardware analysis, you can take a look. But the important is for us in this case is the SLR result, the SLR analysis. For example, this is what I mentioned about your personal metric. We have here about okay, see, I can support, I can get for valid my operation, see this
Hmm.
take less of this time. This is in millisecond.
Hmm.
And I have a failure support to 5%. For this case, the full transfer operation is looking good. I mean, the
Hmm.
most of them is successful execution. There was execution almost 300 operation. Um, yes, the same for the ATM transaction
Hmm.
and the other browser operation. In this case, is the simulation of the modifier of a custom. So there
Yeah,
is here notice the fails case in metric sense. I mean, this operation not necessarily mean this failing with a crashing or some kind of time error.
exactly, exactly.
This is only says see this accomplished to SLI, right?
Yeah. So yeah,
Mhm.
our SLAs wasn't, the expected results, didn't match the SLAs what we predicted or we want to have. So we are marking is red. So probably this test will be failed when we analyze all of the request. But as Ricardo mentioned, that doesn't mean that something crashed, or for example, you have 500 from it 400. It simply means that the response times were longer than we configured in the SLAs.
Yes, exactly. For example, you can give some detail here about the status about in the time we execute the simulation.
Hmm.
A little down here is we have the more detail of each of execution. I
Hmm.
mean the time. The most interesting thing here for each bank definitely need to be the max time is taking this operation.
Yeah,
Yeah, there is some detail graphic here. So, all is in detail. There's nothing lost about the statistic level
yeah.
information. Little doubt there is a block box analysis. I mean, I can reorder. We can sort by a lot of field, a lot of data information. In
Hmm.
this case, I will order by max time. The max time for this is like we have a here ITM with a lot of time, 60.
Yeah, probably
With,
we'll go to the timeout, I guess. And as Ricardo is showing you this element, for example, you can also configure the percentile what you want to see. Here you have percentile 25, 50, 75. And for example, you can have another percentile, let's say 95, because you want 95% of the response times be better than a particular value.
exactly. This is exactly what we want to know about our system. What case what is the anomaly we can detect with this?
Yeah,
This case, we have a lot of the ATM. Of course, this is very critical for a we
yeah,
can basically the ATM don't give the cash to the client, use something for happening in the background. Okay.
yeah, that's
And
correct. Hmm.
there is more information here. Maybe the dropper analysis gives some graphic here. There is some more information about the COP result. Of course, at the level of services, 200 is saying, okay, this all fine. And
Hmm.
this is what we're talking about. This the knock, okay, not mean there is something crashing. Is just saying, okay, there is something slowing, there is
Yeah,
something
SLA is failing. Yeah,
display thing do you need to review? We
yeah,
can confirm that in here. We have 200. The operation is finishes well. The finishes successfully, but there is something about the time you need to review.
yeah. So basically, when you have this, for example, you have report. This is our source of truth. So from the running the test, we have the report. And the other one will be on the client side because probably they will have some observability tool like Dynatrace. Then they can directly, track the transactions we simulate during the test, and they can see the transactions who are taking more time. And after that, it is easier for them to fix the issue. Because if they will have only the report, that will be, we need to go one by one and to find the long running one, or for example, what crashed in the system. When we'll use Dynatrace and the request attributes from the Dynatrace, we can track one by one how much time this transaction took. So basically, that's also the add-on from the good observability solution in the client environment.
Exactly. Okay, perfect. A little down, maybe we have a table about there is a case about there is something crashing, there is something about I don't know, maybe there is
Mhm.
the endpoint you write, no, it's not writing correctly. There is, you get some result of 400 results.
Mhm.
You can see in this report too. I mean,
Yeah,
example this. There is some error we need this needed to review, but everything is showing this report and is saved. I mean, Performator, you can conflict
exactly.
a database, and you can saving all the results you have of the report and watch again whatever you need.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
That's a good point. So basically, we'll collect all of the metrics that going back from the system. That we are hitting the system, and the system is responding, sending us OK 200 or any kind of error or any kind of error message. We want to catch all of them because it will be easier after it to tune the system before the next run of test.
Mhm. Exactly. This is the main thing about the report. Of course, there is a lot of things. There is a lot
Mhm.
of filter. We can show an analysis. I make a analysis, but for the time, I don't know if we can talk here about all this. Maybe in future session we can
Maybe that's a good idea because
Yes,
I
more
think
in
so.
deep.
Yeah, I think so. Ricardo will come back to the another session and we'll talk more about the stuff because you see, we should finish 11 minutes ago and we are still going on because there are so much stuff going on, especially in the Performator, so much data you have back that is much easier. For example, this is giving you a lot of, freedom, flexibility. So go to the GitHub, look for Performator, download the quick start project, start using the tool because it's open source, so we are not paying for the stuff. Let us know how this is going. If you have more question, you can always contact us, Performetrics after it. But I think so, Ricardo, maybe after some time we'll be doing another session when we'll be talking more about the results and results from the tools like Dynatrace. Yeah, that's a good idea. We can do that on the next session.
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's an entire work with Performator, with the performance testing work. So we can take more time, be more slowly about the detail of the report we have here,
sure.
because there is a lot of things.
yes.
We have detail inside of the details. So yeah,
You have plenty of stuff. Yeah. So
yeah,
Yeah.
we can plan
basically,
it. We can plan it.
yeah, you can plan it. So basically, that's all, everyone. Thank you so much for everyone
Sure.
who hold on till the end of the on the event. So Ricardo, that was a pleasure to have you here. I hope it will be not the last session we are working together. Rakesh, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
moderating all of the stuff, and thank you so much for watching us running the test on the T24 Transact. So stay safe and thank you so much. That's all.